I reminisce about the love we had. I reminisce about the love we had. Tender moments seem to go so fast. Reminisce, reminisce. I reminisce about the love we had. I reminisce about the love we had. Love so strong it will never pass.
Love Park Connection.
How you guys doing?
Hey, you guys.
Go ahead. You said you wanted to start this off. You go
Okay.
right ahead.
Yeah, today's gonna be kind of interesting. For the past couple of weeks, we haven't really did a podcast in about a week and a half or so. We had some tragedy that struck in my family. My mother passed away. Was it last week? I think it was last week.
Was it last?
Yeah, she passed away last week, and pretty much this episode is kind of going to be dealing with, tragedy in a family, or in a couple, not necessarily just a family, but in a couple.
As a couple.
As a
We're
couple.
going to talk about it, how you deal with it as a couple.
Yeah,
Because at some point we all, the longer you guys are together, the more, there are going to be folks who are passing on, and just other types of tragedies that happen in your household. And as a couple, you have to know how to deal with them, and deal with them together.
Yeah.
So that's what we are going to talk about today.
Yeah.
So he's going to be doing a lot of the talking, and of course I'll chime in, but
Yeah. And see, with us in our family, in both of our families, my side and her side, we've had quite a lot of
folks
passing.
Passing.
Quite a lot. My biological mother passed away in 98. Then I had my brother pass away in 2003. Then I had grandmother pass away not too long after that, aunties, and then
my side,
her side start passing away, and her side, her mother, her
within 6 months,
her brother, her mother,
my cousin,
and then your cousin, and then your auntie a couple of years later after that. It was all like boom,
back to
boom,
back,
boom,
back to back.
And it was just a matter us trying to deal with all of it. It's just a lot of tragedy, and that's not even mentioning, that's just close family. We had other friends and other stuff that was passing away within that same amount of time that were close to us as well.
Right. Yeah. Right.
But we all, through all of it, we had to deal with it together.
Right.
And
support each other.
And when my biological mother passed away, basically my brother was my stepbrother. So technically I'm the only child. So, but when my biological mother passed away, if it wasn't for my wife and my dad at the time, who really stepped up, and my stepmom stepped up as well too, when she could, wherever she could. But if it wasn't for her and my dad stepping up, I would have been lost, because I had no idea what to do. I was just distraught. I wouldn't have been able to set up no type of services or any of that stuff. I was gone, and it took her and my dad, like I said, to step up and do that. And that's where you have somebody that's good and it's in your corner, who can ride out the bad times with you. And she was there. She got me through it. And vice versa. When her mom passed away, I was there. And
he was actually there when my mom passed away in the hospital,
holding her hand.
Well, I hadn't gotten there yet. I hadn't gotten to the hospital yet. So he met me in the parking lot, and I just thought we were going in because she was ill and in the hospital. And he's the one who had to tell me before we walked through the door that, my mom had passed. And that was devastating, because it was unexpected, of course.
Yeah.
But it's also how you handle it as a couple, because, when we go through grief, everybody handles grief differently. And if you're the kind of person who handles grief by lashing out, yeah, your partner might understand that, but that's not the direction you want to go in. You want to make sure that you handle grief, of course, as best you can, but don't lash out, especially to your partner.
Yeah.
To anyone, but especially to your partner.
Yeah.
Find another way to
release
or direct that grief. And even if it comes to the point where you have to let your partner know, hey, this is how I'm feeling. So I apologize if I'm lashing out. I will try not to.
Yeah.
And as the partner, you got to also remind them, hey, you're lashing out right now. I understand that you're grieving, but so it also, that really is important on how you guys deal with the grief.
Yeah.
But what we forgot to do? We forgot to introduce ourselves, y'all. I'm sorry. We got right into it.
We sure did.
So welcome to Love Part Connection, where we talk about the pains and pleasures of life, love, and relationships. My name is Angela Parker.
And I'm Pierre Parker.
We are a husband and wife marriage and relationship coaching duo. We have been married for 28 years, together for over 30 years. And it's our goal to help Black couples communicate more, love more, and build healthy long-term relationships and marriages. So we'll get back to it now. Please remember to subscribe. Please give us comments, especially if this is something that hits home with you guys.
Yeah.
And so subscribe and give us some comments. And likes are good too. So
yes.
But so again, that's really important, that you figure out a way how to direct that energy. You don't want that. You already have a lot of energy, a lot of, maybe negative energy going around you right now, but you know how to direct that energy so it's not impacting your relationship, because your partner hopefully is there to console you, to walk you through whatever just to be there for you. And you don't want that person to feel like, well, you keep lashing out and I'm trying to help you.
Yeah.
So, I'm just going to go sit in the corner and not be bothered. So,
yeah, it's important that you don't do that.
Yeah.
And it's just, it means a lot to actually have somebody there. When you do go through some stuff like this, like I said, it helped me 100%, and it's helping me now. She's here dealing with it with me. I mean, that was her mom too. So, but we're dealing with it together, and more so, she's supporting me, and now it's a matter of me trying to support my dad and making sure he's okay, and that's a whole nother. That's a whole nother thing. My dad, for those of you who know my dad, or for those of you who don't know my dad is a piece of cake.
I love my father-in-law.
Yeah, look, my dad is, I say she's the only one that actually can tame him. So it's like Beauty and the Beast, or like King Kong with the little lady. That's what it's like.
Oh my God.
Yes, I tell him that he needs to do something, and we got to be going back and forth. But if she say, "Dad, you need to do such and such," okay, you right. And I'm like,
that doesn't mean he's going. Oh, excuse me. That doesn't mean he's going to do it, but
he probably will.
No, he didn't on some things, but that's a whole nother story. But and that's, I guess, one of the things that I'm concerned with in this process, because his stepmom and his dad were married for over 40 years, and now Pierre being the only child, he's helping his dad as much as his dad will let him, and without stepping on his dad's toes.
Yeah.
But now Pierre is basically what his dad has left, because he said this last night. We were at dinner, and he said, all I got is you two now, which is not necessarily true, but that's the way he looks at it.
Yeah.
And so we've had to really step up more to the plate to be there for our dad, or his dad, my father-in-law. But it again, it goes back to how am I here to help him in this situation? Because ultimately, me helping him means he can also be there for his dad. And it's it's gonna take a lot.
Yeah.
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 We're right now we're kind of at a loss for words. We're kind of still going through the process because it happened a couple of weeks ago when she passed. Was it a
Yeah.
couple, maybe
It was
last
like
week?
it was the Thursday before the last Thursday.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
So, okay, yeah,
about a
a week and a
and
half.
a half.
So we're still trying to process everything and, get, help his dad get funeral arrangements together and just
Yeah.
kind of keep his dad as best we can in, good spirits.
Yep.
And
also dealing with the kids. Luckily, the kids they're okay right now.
our kids, talking about our kids, our
their that's their grandmother. They're cool right now. But come funeral time, it might be a whole different thing.
Right. And that especially for Tony, his dad, it's going to be, I think that's when it's really going to hit home.
Yeah.
Because right now, he has so much to do right now that he hasn't really had time to, probably take it all in.
Yeah.
And another thing, him now living alone is another one of our concerns. So that's another bridge we're going to have to cross, saying, are you going to stay in this house or are you going to move? He's been in that house for 40 years.
40 years.
Yeah. So, and it's hard to, make the change or make changes at, that later years of your life. It's not impossible, but his dad's also kind of on the stubborn side.
You look into the dictionary under stubborn and he's cheesing right there. Very stubborn.
So we're going to get through it. And it's just a matter of getting through it together. And it's not even just on when someone family member passes away. It's also, dealing with maybe things your kids are going through.
Yeah.
Maybe other family members that are going through things. Because like I said, these past couple of weeks, not just with his mother's passing, but also other things that have come up that just kept going back to back. And I've had to learn that, the old saying in the Bible, this too shall pass, and just kind of laughing at it because there's really no sense in getting so upset about something I don't have any control over. And realizing that as a couple, we can get through this together and to keep each other laughing, keep each other in good spirits, and understanding that it's going to pass. And, whatever's going on right now is not going to be something that's going to happen, maybe even a week from now. So that's what I, as his wife, that's what I try and keep him in good spirits, and realize that, hey, this is just temporary, and eventually this will all, it'll pass over, and things will be back to
normal.
Well, not
Somewhat
normal, because it's never going to be back to normal. But we'll move through it and move on, and deal with the next whatever when it comes up.
And the crazy thing is, this is just me. I don't normally cry. So I haven't, and so, sometimes people wonder if I'm all right. They keep asking me if I'm okay. I don't normally cry. The last time I cried was probably when Gran died, my grandmother. But pretty much, when my mom died, I cried. But
I didn't see it, so he must have cried in the shower. I never saw him cry.
So then, and that was one big thing with me and my stepmother, mom. That was one big thing with her, because she always noticed that even like when my brother passed away and all of that stuff, I didn't cry. And so she would always check. She'd always call me like every few months and like, "You okay? You all right?" And one day I had to ask her, I was like, "Well, why you always ask me that?" She was like, "Because I never saw you cry. I didn't see you cry really when your mom died. I only saw you just a little bit of crying. She said, I saw you cry a little bit at Gran's funeral, but
Mhm.
you didn't cry at Tyler's.
Tyler.
Lord, please. At Terry's.
Okay.
That's my brother, Terry. She said, you didn't pass at Terry. I mean, you didn't cry at Terry's, and I was just wondering, are you okay? Are you releasing any of this? Are you even mourning? And I'm like, well, I'm mourning certain times, when I'm by myself, I'll get my little mourning or whatever. I'll release it a little bit, but most of the time I don't. I release it more so in staying busy in my music or whatever else. If it's something with her, I release it by doing something and trying to stay busy. I said this on one of our other podcasts before, but my buddy Byron Gibson, um, he's told me when my biological mother passed away, he came up to me and he told me, he said, P, I heard your mom passed away. He said, mine passed away not too long ago. He said, food for advice. He said,
Food
just
for
stay,
thought.
food for thought. Just stay busy. Just pour all your time into your music. Try to stay as busy as possible and mourn when you can in the small times. He said, that way, he said, that's what I did. And it helped me. And whenever he was absolutely right. I got busy. I tried to stay busy doing things, and I mourned when I could. So it was kind of like a pressure cooker when you kind of just letting the steam out here and there so that the steam just doesn't build up. So that's kind of what I do. And at this point now, with us having so many of these in our family, I'm actually pretty numb to a lot of this.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a little more sensitive to me on some of it. But even like with my mom now, I haven't cried. I'm sad. It hurts, but I'm numb to it. It's just so numbing. And I think one of the reasons why the whole crying thing came into play in the first place is because my first grandmother who passed away, she was dying, and she called me in the room. Everybody else was in there in the hospital crying and all of this stuff. And I was crying at first, and then she called me in the room and she said, look, I don't want you to cry. Because I was the oldest grandchild and all that stuff. So she said, look, everybody else is losing their mind, crying and all of this stuff. I need you to be the strong one. So don't cry. Don't cry. All your other cousins, are you little, because at that time, all I had was girl cousins, and they was just gone. Ah! So she was like, yeah, I need you to be the one that's going to be the strong one of the family as far as, the grandkids and stuff. So,
and I hear what she's saying, but then
it feels like you put a pressure on me.
That's a lot of pressure on because your grandmother passed when you were kind of young. It wasn't, like you were an adult. So that's a lot of pressure on a young man, and not to feel that you can cry, because you have to release it somehow.
Yeah.
You have to release it. You have to release it and mourn. And usually crying is a way to get rid of all that, because you keep it bottled up, that becomes health issues, which is a whole nother conversation. But, that's why men need to, even if it's not in front of anybody, men need to cry.
And I think more so, as I got older, I think more so when I think about it, I think it was more so that she wanted me to stay focused and stay strong. Yes, I can cry when I need to cry, but don't let that overwhelm me, and don't let the whole mourning thing take over, because everybody else in the family is going to be, kind of just losing it.
Right.
So she wanted me to be, as the grandson, as the oldest grandchild.
Right.
She wanted me to have some stability.
Right.
So, which I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm just saying that when you're young like that, you don't understand that. That's taking you years to understand what she really meant. So.
Yeah, but I think I also took it and just kind of ran with it even more, to where I don't really get, between that and then the numbness.
Yeah,
I think it makes it to where I just don't really cry too much, when it comes to these things.
Because but I understand the numbness, because I'm kind of that way.
Yeah.
When your stepmom passed, I was sad, but I think I was more sad because I saw how hard it hit your father.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Well, I mean, we were right there when
Right.
she
She
passed.
passed. Mhm.
We got there right in the room. She passed in the house, in the room. The paramedics was there trying to work on her. Right when we got in,
Yeah, she
they pretty
expired.
much said,
Yeah.
we've done everything we could do. She's gone. So we were there when she passed.
Right.
And then for me, that's probably the fourth person that I've seen actually, like, right at the moment. Like I said before, her mom. I was sitting there, me and her brother was holding her mom's hand as she was on the machine, and they were like, well, she's pretty much gone. We have to turn the machine off. And we watched the machine just stopped working. She was gone.
Yeah.
Same thing happened with my little brother. I'm in there holding his hand. The same exact thing. They came in, he passed away. They were like, we have to turn the machine off. He's basically gone.
And your mom.
And then
Well,
my mom.
no,
Well,
you walked out.
well,
Right.
yeah, that one was really interesting because she was pretty much brain dead.
Right.
And they kept bugging me about, well, do we want to turn the machine off because, she's a donor and we need to,
Right.
get whatever we're going to get now before, some
Right.
crazy stuff.
Right.
There's a time limit to be able to get
Harvest the organs.
the organs.
Yeah.
And, I was trying to understand that, but at the same time, when you're just kind of hounding somebody, that's
Right.
what
And they were a little out. Yeah, they were a little out of pocket with that.
So, and to this day, I really believe that my mom was kind of holding on for me to walk out of the room because I wouldn't leave the room. And then finally they took me out of the room to talk to me and to tell me how important it was to get, for the time frame of it.
Right.
And right when I walked out of the room, a nurse came in and said, well, she's expired now. So I truly think that she was waiting for me. She didn't want to expire exactly in front of me.
Yeah.
So,
or have you make that decision because they were hounding you about making the decision about the life support.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah,
it was interesting. So, but I say that to say that I say that to say that that's probably why I'm so numb.
Yeah.
Between all of those things. So,
and then also, kind of talking about that. With him being the way he is, I have to understand and not bug him about, well, why aren't you crying? Why you're saying your stepmom was doing, or, asking you.
mhm,
And I have to understand that's who he is. That's how he mourns,
mhm,
and not get overly concerned about, well, I don't see you releasing. I don't see you crying. I don't see you mourning,
mhm,
because after all these years and being through this being this or going through this for so many times,
mhm,
I understand that this is who he is, just as, he understands that. I mean, I cried when my mom died, I
Yeah.
think, but it wasn't that ongoing cry because I also knew that my mom wanted me to move on with my life. She didn't want me sitting in here mourning and reliving everything.
Yeah.
So he's also learned how I am, that I don't necessarily cry a lot. I might do a couple times where I'll cry, but then I want to focus on when she was alive or when that person was alive, not when they passed.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
but yeah, it's just a matter of knowing your partner and respecting where they're at
Mhm.
in the mourning process. And again, I go back to, if you're the one who is doing the mourning, that you also have to be aware of, your actions and your emotions towards the people around you that,
Mhm.
are concerned.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So,
Exactly. But we get into now the interesting part, like I said before, is just getting into all the planning of it, which
right.
is all exhausting and stuff too, and dealing with my dad. And my dad is trying to please others, and I'm trying to tell him, no, Dad, it's all about what you want.
Right.
So it's like, that's the crazy part of it. So, and like I said before, being the only child, I have to make sure he's cool, so but by having her there, it helps so much. It helps because she tames the beast. She tames the beast.
Yeah.
So we finally pretty much nailed down a day and all of that stuff. And, it's just a whole lot, especially when you have a big family. So, that's another part of it. But, we're going to see how it works out. So,
Yeah.
but
Anything else?
I think that's about it. I mean, we're not going to make this a long one.
Yeah.
I'm normally the comic relief. I'm trying to keep it cool, trying to still keep my little bit of comedy up in there, but
yeah,
Comedy P will be back. Look.
Yeah, we'll be back. But yeah, you guys, so again, I just reiterate, when you guys are going through tragedy in your relationship, you guys have to remember that you guys are not the enemy towards each other. Exactly. You guys should be lifting each other up, trying to keep your energy high, make sure that you guys are still doing what you enjoy doing, whether it's going for a walk, whether it's sitting and having a talk, whatever it is that you were doing before the tragedy struck, you need to continue to do that and push each other. When you see your partner look like they're getting into a real slump, or you see that they can't shake maybe their sadness, then that's where you really have to step in and figure out how to help your partner, because that's what it's about. You guys are a team. You guys have to communicate. So if you're the one in the slump, if you're the one dealing with the tragedy or the pain, then you need to talk to your partner. So they know where you're at. They know where your head's at. And, reach out to family members too, other family members. Because everybody releases different. Everybody deals with grief different. And you guys have to figure out what is going to make you whole again and make you feel better. But you guys have to work as a team. And remember that you guys are in it together. You're not,
And if it's that bad, there's nothing wrong with seeking therapy.
Exactly.
Even seek it together.
Right. Exactly.
Seek it together, and if it has to be that bad, if it's that bad, hopefully it won't get that bad for people. But therapy is, that's always an option.
Exactly.
Never rule that out.
Never rule out therapy. Right.
Yeah. So,
all right, you guys. So thank you for joining us again today. Please remember to subscribe, leave us some comments. Let us know, if you guys had to deal with this, and how did you guys handle it as a couple? And
because I tell you, I wouldn't be able to do it if it wasn't for this one right here. So it's my rock.
That's it.
It's my rock. My ride or die.
Ride or die. Yeah, I think that's it. I know we're kind of all over the place today because we're still trying to process everything and get everything.
We'll still get back to this. Don't forget about this right here. The book.
30 Years and Counting. You can get it at lovepartconnection.com. All right, you guys. So again, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
All right.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.